Welcome to K. Elizabeth Toasts, a podcast celebrating people who increase our quality of life. I'm your host, K. Elizabeth, a licensed counselor, coach, and PhD who is interested in what people do to make others' lives better through the lens of the 5 social determinants of health. The World Health Organization says these 5 social determinants can impact up to 55% of our health outcomes. In this episode, our guest shares how they impact the social determinant of neighborhood and built environment. Give a listen if you need a dopamine hit, or if you like toast, because this toasts for you.
I'm Angela Castleton. I am the Executive Director of the Creative Enterprise Zone, which is 2 things. It's both a nonprofit organization, and it's the name we assigned to a district, which is also known as South St. Anthony Park and Midway in St. Paul.
So it's both a nonprofit and a neighborhood. How does that work?
Yeah, it's a marketing nightmare. No, we want everyone who is here to feel like they belong. But we really want to focus on well-being and belonging. And so that's connection to place. And one way we have done that is we started the Chroma Zone Mural and Art Festival in 2019.
Did you say Chroma Zone?
Yeah, it's Chroma, C-R-O-M-A, Zone, Z-O-N-E, as a play off Creative Enterprise Zone, Mural and Art Festival. And it's because, there's several reasons we started it, but one, we had Forecast Public Art, who's a public arts leader, is in the neighborhood. And then we had Wes Winship and his company, Burlesque of North America, who's also a muralist. And so there's all these big commercial buildings that had these fantastic walls. And mural festivals were very popular at the time. So we decided, well, let's start putting murals on the walls of these buildings. Let's show the creativity happening inside the buildings on the outside. It allows us to support artists directly. It allows us to create connection to place, draws attention to the neighborhood, which therefore drives more people in the neighborhood, which then benefits our small businesses. And the other thing we did when we conceived this festival was the idea that all artists get paid, which is not true of most mural festivals. We believe people who are living by their creative capacity deserve to be paid for their creativity. We can't take that for granted. It's just like any other job in the world. And we also have given priority to BIPOC women and queer artists. And BIPOC is such a big category, but I'm very proud of the fact that we have maybe 9 murals by Native women in just this area alone. That's got to be a record somewhere. We're adding another this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, so we really have a diverse pool of artists. My role is to negotiate the wall, to seek permission from the wall owner. Then I work with Forecast. We pick the artists, and the artists pick the content. Too often an artist is hired as a community muralist, and they have to do a lot of, negotiating, and this is what I want to see, and things can be fine, but they can be a little diluted. The only guideline we have is that it's family friendly and not meant to defame any person or place. What we say is, this is your canvas. Do what makes your heart sing. Do what makes you feel that is a reflection of you. And so you see a lot more inclusive narratives on the walls, a lot more people feeling welcome and included. I mean, I've personally witnessed people on street level come up to an artist like Philip Dialli while he's working and say, "Thank you for putting a brown person on this wall. Thank you for representing me on this wall." And I'll get teary at various points because I can repeat all sorts of encounters like that. People going by in cars, hooting and hollering or honking their horn, or Few and Far, which is a national collective of women artists in graffiti, which is therefore are few and far in between. They came together, 5 of their artists came together a couple of summers ago and painted a mural. And I would hear stories of people coming up weeping to see themselves represented or to see such beauty outside their window. I would say there is not one artist that I've met who does not go into public art as a way to connect with people and put positivity in the world. Even when they're introverted and they'd rather stay up on the lift so that they don't talk to people, they are clearly at their heart trying to put something out that's good into the community. And you don't have to love all of them. You don't have to understand all of them. but you have to appreciate the bravery that it takes for a person to go so big and so loud, for the world. There's one mural that went up last summer that she took 5 weeks and had community people come out and paint with her. To see an artist who has a regular entourage or regular people stopping by and giving them gifts, bringing them food, seeing if they need anything. Sometimes I had an incident in May where this guy just showed up and just sat there and watched it happen. And when I got to know him, he's a real technical guy. He works in a real technical field. And so he's mesmerized by creativity, mesmerized by artistry, has no intention of doing himself, but wanted to be witness to it. And I'm talking hours of watching this artist paint. It's just amazing to witness people stop and connect. Or there was a story when Povey Marie was here doing her mural on Territorial with this young girl who her dad said was kind of struggling in school, wasn't feeling like she fit, didn't quite, is just trying to get to know herself, and just was blown away with what she saw. And I'm getting teary. Just this idea that people are doing this. She had no idea that people put themselves out there that way. And so she really connected and came back like 3 times during the painting process and brought her own drawings. And her dad just witnessed a change, So you never know how people are going to get affected. So I'll do the fundraising. I'll reach out to the artists. I'll reach out to the building owners. And I get to know my community that way. I'm cold calling everybody. And they sometimes just laugh when I say, can I put a mural on your wall? But I usually learn about their business. I usually learn about why they're here. It doesn't take too long to get down to why it matters.
Why does it matter?
I think it's that well-being and belonging. People want to find their place, even if it's temporary. There's a lot of new apartment buildings and a lot of people aren't going to be here forever. I want to make sure that the people in South St. Anthony still have the same opportunities to connect and feel belonging that the people in North St. Anthony do. How, even if it's just for that 1 year that you have an apartment, that you feel safe, you feel belonging, you feel optimistic about life. I'm just so appreciative of artists that put their identity and themselves on the wall. It's pretty brave work. So I feel pretty privileged to be able to witness it and to make it happen. Back in 2008, 2009, our founder was a frustrated creative that was a lifelong fundraiser who got in touch with her creative side by finding a studio in this neighborhood. And the building went into foreclosure. It was sold. It was redeveloped. It's now luxury apartments. So our founder noticed that whole moment was sort of got her curious about the neighborhood and who is here. So this neighborhood is full of maker spaces.
Mm-hmm.
This is the old gentrification story. Who started it, right?
Yeah.
So you get old industrial, where industrial moves out, maybe goes to the suburbs or somewhere else. And then artists move in, nonprofits move in, people who need affordable space. And then development happens. So the light rail goes through, all the developers come, they start building apartment buildings. So you start to get this pressure on the geography for people to switch uses, and things change. So people get displaced. Cool things move in. You get breweries, you get distilleries, you get a different sort of flavor. And so you get more people, which helps support the retail that's here or the restaurants that are here. So it's just, we don't have a lot of those issues are zoning, a lot of those issues are tax-based related, lots of different things. So this organization, though, took the time to study the neighborhood and discover all these hundreds of maker studios, and deciding that all of these creative people, and we define creativity very broadly. It's not just artists, it's people who make soap or manufacture clothing or brew beer. And so by acknowledging that these people exist and also the impact they're having on our economy. So what you have is a creative economy. So they're for the name Creative Enterprise Zone, and the really idea that people are making their living by their creative capacities. We're just a creative zone. We have just tons of people here. And so the nonprofit really is dedicated to supporting creative people and businesses to make it here. And that means making sure that they can have access to affordable spaces. A lot of developers came in, bought old buildings, either turned it into housing, which we all need in the city, or creative business venues, like I mentioned before. But what usually happens when a developer comes in, they make an investment. They have a 5-year timeline. They lease it up. They get the most rent they can, and then they sell it. And then the next owner comes in, often a developer, maybe reinvests more money, rents go up, and that causes movement. So there's several key buildings in this neighborhood where artists and nonprofits were displaced. And our philosophy is the only way to prevent that going forward is to buy buildings ourselves. And so we bought a small building, a former Sunrise Bank. It's not exactly the building at only 5,000 square feet. It's not the building that's going to house a bunch of artists, but we do lease to fellow nonprofits. And we are currently in negotiations and talking about buying another building. It's not an easy task for a small nonprofit that doesn't have a steady income or support system, but it's trying. And one thing we did this last year was we launched, it's called the Taproot Investment Cooperative. You have a community real estate investment cooperative, and what that allows is regular people like you and I'm speaking maybe out of turn, I don't know your background, but regular people to pool their money together to buy buildings. Our model is to partner with other owners and have the investment cooperative come in with capital. And it's that kind of investment, which is more values driven and community based, is really about taking, let's say you take 100 people at $5,000 each or $10,000 each, a small investment, and it's a long-term investment. You're not putting your money in for 5 years and hoping that you get a 15% return. We're talking about a 10-year, 15-year investment at maybe 3 or 4%. So maybe below market, but this idea that you are putting your personal money, which could go into some other investment like oil or something you don't agree with. Say you put it in a building that houses a brewery and an entertainment venue that you frequent often. Well, you are making money off that building. You're also going to that building. You're investing in those small businesses. And when they're successful and they pay their rent, you're getting your return. So it's all very community-based. So that's a big accomplishment that we did. And Taproot made its first investment this year. So I'm really proud of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's also it's part of this connectedness in our efforts to support small businesses and people, creative people, is this community investment initiative, more local ownership of buildings so that we have more local control. We don't want outside developers from California and Chicago, even though we have some nice ones that just are sort of absentee landlords, and they are sort of extractive because the money they get from rent just goes to another project or another market, right? Keeping it in the community is one way to do it. We also plant trees. Why plant trees? Everybody wants to plant trees. With the influx of residents in this mixed-use neighborhood, we want our streets to be more walkable. And there is a community council that deals with sidewalks and transportation and land use issues. What we are concentrating on is trying to reduce the high heat index that comes when you have all these commercial buildings with flat roofs and asphalt over every bit of the surface. There's an amazing brewery in this neighborhood called Bang Brewing, in which the owners, not only do they have sustainable organic beer, their whole property, they've torn up all the asphalt and they changed it over to native grasses and rain gardens and impervious surfaces. Which one do I want? Anyway, they've torn up all their asphalt and turned it back to as natural as they can while still being ADA compliant. They're a great example. But what we want to do is we We have what we call the 100 Trees Initiative, where we plant 100 trees into street trees into boulevards. So public right-of-ways, with permission from the city, we plant the trees, and everybody loves a good party to plant a tree, but you also have to take care of the tree. You have to water the tree for a minimum of 2 years. When you ask someone to plant a tree in their own yard or in their own boulevard, they just get out their hose and they water it. For us, it's more of a ordeal in that we have to carry the water out to the trees. So that prompted us to do a community fundraising to buy a water trailer. And now we work with AmeriCorps. We have an AmeriCorps member at any given time that helps lead these weekly watering. I'm making sure that these trees are around for 100 years. I'm not really living for the moment of that tree. It's not about me like, oh, we planted that. It's more like, 50 years, which I won't be here for that. But somebody will have a tree that's big and enjoyed and is having an effect. And it has to start somewhere.
For listeners who aren't executive directors, how can they support a healthy, well community in their own neighborhood?
So wellness can start very small. You don't have to start a mural festival. You don't have to plant 100 trees every year. That appreciation and being seen and letting people know they matter and making room for everybody in that. Obviously, inclusiveness is key. And so if you want to promote wellness and well-being, it's making people feel that they're part of something bigger than themselves. Sometimes just being in the same room with someone, even if you don't say anything. I don't know. I just that, but if you're walking down the street and you can compliment somebody or acknowledge them, it can change a day. Always pay an artist. Always buy as direct from an artist as you can. Buy from that small business. Shop local. Also, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can lend your support to those who you think are doing a good job. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is offering anything anybody needs to hear or doesn't already know, but
it's a good reminder. I think we feel like we have to make giant change, right? But you're talking about giving someone a compliment or watering a tree.
Or looking up and appreciating someone's art form or wondering how that tree got there.
I'm wondering if there's anyone in your life that has impacted you in a positive way that you want to recognize.
Okay, so I'm a almost 60-year-old woman. I like to say that better than, so you're like, oh, you look pretty good for 60.
Oh, you look really good for 60.
Yeah. Okay. I am almost 60 years old. And it is amazing and shocking to me, first of all, that I could be here. I also literally just worked with a career life coach or whatever, a career coach this past year. Because my whole life was a narrative that I was not good enough, that I just happened to get these jobs, that I just happened to stumble into this, never feeling good enough, never feeling worthy enough. There's always smarter people, right? There's always smarter people, prettier people, faster thinkers, whatever. And just never understanding my worth. And I'm almost 60, right? She didn't work miracles or anything. She just would echo back and be like, I don't understand where that's coming from, or I don't see that, or just gave me this new perspective that made me think, oh, wait, maybe that's just a narrative I tell myself. There was just like this epiphany that maybe I could change my narrative. Maybe I could just look at my life a little differently. Maybe I actually earned these jobs. I've had some pretty cool jobs over the years. Maybe I deserve to be at the MIA. Maybe I deserve to be working at the Star Tribune in the job that I did. Maybe it's not just like happenstance. Maybe there's something about me that's actually good at this. And so I think it's all the people who lifted me up or didn't lift me up along the way that contributed to this moment. This idea that you aren't perfect. Oh my God, of course you're not perfect and you're stumbling through, but you're just not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So if there's haters out there, just persevere.
Cheers to everyone who has brought you to that place, to this place in particular.
Yes.
Cheers to them. The haters and the supporters, sounds like. Angela, for recognizing others' worth, for recognizing the value that art brings into a community, for valuing artists' time and their talent, for building relationships in the creative enterprise zone, for watering trees and building festivals from nothing, and for beginning to believe in yourself that you can do all of these things. This toast is for you. Cheers.
That was awesome.
Now it's your turn. Honor someone who has made your life better by recommending them as a guest or by recording a toast to them at ketoasts.com to positively impact my life and to keep us going. Tap the follow button, rate us using the star button, and share this episode with someone who could use some good news. Then, go toast up some bread, because every positive action is worth toasting.
Because everybody's deeply suspicious if you take spray paint to a wall, let me just tell you. Doesn't matter if it's in broad daylight, they have a lift, they have a rented lift, they have a vest that says Chroma Zone Mural and Art Festival, people are still going to get up in your business about it. We've got some generous business owners, and I can guarantee all our artists will be highly caffeinated.
One of my mom's friends, who was also my home ec teacher, said that her goal in life is to get to the age where she can walk and fart at the same time and that no one cares. And she probably said that 20 years ago, and I still remember it.
Well, because the sad thing is, it's very true. It's like the chin hairs you get and you have no awareness until you do, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, when did that happen? And if there's a male in your life where the eyebrows start to like grow this way and the ear hair grows this way, it's just all the indignities for the world to like pass us up, I think. Don't ever be afraid to be fired, right? In a good way, not in like a embezzling kind of way. You're just not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You are in this world to win it. So just try to move through life a little bit more confidently. Just do it. Just try. Do your best. Oh, no, I have no idea what I just said or what I need to talk about. I don't even know what I'm saying exactly. I don't know. And remember, I get paid to do this, but I'm a staff of one. So I get to make this up as I go. Hey, Elizabeth, I just have to say, this is such a cool thing you're doing. I mean, I am not the least bit enchanted with being on a podcast, but I'm super enchanted. I'm super enchanted that you're doing this.
Yeah, it's been really fun. It really has changed my outlook. There's a lot of amazing people doing amazing things.